YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with another NFL video. First to worst. Interesting topic here today. Taking all the first place teams in each division from last season. And we're going to talk about which teams, maybe multiple, have a realistic chance from going first place to last place. First to fourth in their division. Right before we get started, we're also going to do, we kind of did a video already where it was worst to first, but it was kind of last place teams to Super Bowl chances. So very similar video we did a little while back. I'll pin a link in the top of the comments. So if you guys missed that, you can check it out. We'll do some more of these too with some different teams. But right before we get started, 40K is our subscriber goal by the end of this year. We kind of want to double it. It's a lot, but we believe we can do it. If you guys can subscribe, that would help us out big time. Full NFL coverage once the season gets here. I cannot wait. We also have some NBA coverage, daily sports videos here, so it's worth the subscription. Check out our Twitter, as you can see in the top right and link in the description. Clicking the like button would be much, much appreciated. So first place teams on the board. You see 4 AFC teams from last year, 4 NFC teams from this year. And the way I'm going to do this here, we got the logos up there. I'm going to take them off. If I think they're least likely to go from first to worst, they're going to come off the board early. So if your team comes off the board, it's a good thing. We're going to leave the teams up on the board that I think can go from first to worst. Hopefully that makes sense. We'll kind of break down each team. And it's really not about how good the team is. It's really, that factors into it, obviously, but you got to look who's in the team's division. There's some really tough divisions, and even though there could be a good team coming, staying on the board, it may have to do with who's in their division. So we'll talk about all that. So the first team coming off the board, the team that is not going to go from first place to last place in their division is the New England Patriots. Surprise, surprise right there. Maybe the best team in football once again, and maybe the weakest division in football once again. So I expect them to finish first. I'd be surprised if they didn't, but even if they didn't, they're not going to finish in fourth place. Even if Tom Brady gets hurt, they're not going to finish in fourth place. I truly believe that. So take them off the board. There's no risk there. They have no chance of finishing last. So the next team off the board doesn't necessarily have to go. I was thinking about going AFC, NFC. I scratched that idea. It's just we're going to go in order. But it happens to be an NFC team next. And the NFC team that's least likely to go last place in the division after being first last year is the New Orleans Saints. I expect them to win their division. The Falcons can win that division. You look at the other teams. The Panthers have some holes, but they do have Cam Newton. They do have Christian McCaffrey. That's if Cam Newton can stay healthy. So you cannot rule out a team like that. The Buccaneers, I'd say the Buccaneers can finish ahead of the Panthers. I think that's very realistic. I think it can even finish ahead of the Falcons if they're beat up again. I just don't see them winning division. So the Saints, maybe, just maybe, 2 teams. I just don't see them finishing last is what I'm getting at here. I see them finishing first. If they don't finish first, it'll be second. And if at the very, very, very least somebody has to be hurt, I think they'll finish third. But my point is that they're not going to finish last. So we still got 3 AFC teams, 3 NFC teams. Next off the board, another NFC team I think is the Rams. We're going to take the Rams off the board. I have them finishing first. But can they finish lower than that? Sure, they can. You look at the Niners. They were really beat up last year. People hyped them up a lot. I wasn't really buying the hype. But if they did stay healthy, maybe they would have made the playoffs. And you could say that going for this year. It depends on Garoppolo. To me, he's still a question mark, and we know he's good, but is he more than good? But another big question mark is, can guys stay healthy? They're already getting hurt, and it's not even, we don't even have pads on in practice yet. So, they can win the division is my point, though. So maybe a little bit of a scare from the Niners. And the Seahawks, look at the roster, look at their depth. Honestly, it's not really there. We said that last year, though. And look what Russell Wilson and some of those young guys, what they did, and they stepped up. They drafted pretty well. So maybe the receiver unit could be, I don't want to say better because Doug Baldwin's gone, but it's a different look for teams, with a guy like DK Metcalf. So you can't rule out Russell Wilson and the Seahawks and that coaching staff. The Cardinals, maybe the Cardinals will be pretty sneaky because you can't really game plan against them. And, just maybe it's a weak roster. But so I guess you could say the Rams have some teams that can finish ahead of them. I just don't see all of those things happening. The Cardinals being a surprise, a game plan nightmare could happen, but that on top of the Niners staying healthy and Jimmy G being better than expected, and the Seahawks being better. They have to be better than last year pretty much. They were good last year. They have to be better while losing some more guys. I just don't see all those things happening. So the Rams, I don't think there's any chance they finish last. Even if Goff gets hurt, even if it's Bortles, I don't think they finish last. I think Bortles can be somewhat successful in that system. We'll see, though, if that happens. I don't expect Goff to get hurt or anything. The next team come off the board is going to be the Chiefs. Maybe the reason they were still on the board, but even though I'm going to say there's a 0% chance they finish last, but I guess they have some company in that division. The Chargers, you could say Chargers will finish first. I'm not going to argue with that there. If you say the Chiefs are going to finish first, I'm not really going to argue with you there. It's a toss-up. But then you got the Broncos and the Raiders. Those teams could put up, they're pretty good teams. The Raiders, the defense could struggle, but they also could be, look at the Chiefs last year. The defense really struggled. One of the worst, maybe the worst defense in football. I wouldn't say the worst because they did have some pressure. But the Raiders could be the Chiefs. So this year, they don't have Mahomes' Carr. Once was that good. We'll see if he can get back there with the weapons. But the Raiders could be a somewhat scary team. And the Broncos, I think a pretty balanced team. I think their defense could be a top 5 defense. So, they don't have any terrible team in their division. I guess maybe the Broncos or the Raiders could have a pretty terrible season, but I just don't. They're solid teams. But they're just too good of a team. The Chiefs, that offense is just too darn good, the best in football, that they're not going to finish last. I'm not saying they're guaranteed to finish first or maybe even second, but they're not going to finish last. So we have 4 teams on the board still. And I think, all right, let me take another team off the board here. It's going to be an NFC team. It's going to be the Cowboys. And it's really the one reason I think they can't finish last is because the Giants. It's really one team. So it's kind of tough just almost guaranteeing they're going to finish higher than one team, but I don't see the Giants. The Cowboys can win the division, but they have the Eagles. If the Eagles stay fully healthy, Carson Wentz is on the field every game. The Eagles could definitely finish ahead of the Cowboys and the Redskins. They're a pretty balanced team. Yeah, they may have a rookie quarterback starting. Some units need to stay healthy, like the offensive line, but they have a pretty balanced, solid depth chart rosters. So the Redskins could scare them. I just don't see them finishing below the Giants. I just don't see it. So we're left with 3 teams, and this kind of brings back the fact that it doesn't really matter how good the team is. That factors in, but you got to look at the division because some teams I took off the board, I may think the Bears and the Ravens are better than, but you look at their divisions. The Bears still on the board here, and I picked the Bears to go far. I picked them winning the division. But you look at who's in their division, and there's a chance the Bears can finish last. It's as crazy as it sounds. There's a chance. I think the Lions I think they, maybe not a lot better. But I think they got better. I don't know. I think Patricia in his second year coaching, I think he really started to do good. The Lions really started to pick it up at the end of the year. Their defense mainly. The offensive line's going to come back healthy. They weren't too healthy last year. I think some of those receivers step up. The defensive young guys step up. The Lions could win that division. They're probably favored to finish last, if that makes any sense. But so you look at the Lions and you look at the Packers with Aaron Rodgers and you look at the Vikings, I think one of the more complete rosters in football, but they have to execute, which they didn't do last year. It's realistic that the first place Bears could go to last, and it's not because of them, really. It's because of that division. We could be looking at the best division in football. You look at the Ravens. You don't know I like Lamar Jackson, and I picked the Ravens to win that division. Mainly because, I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to do anything spectacular. I'm a believer in him, but mainly because of that defense. I really like that defense, the way it's coached. It's a unique 3-4 defense. They lost some guys, but it's almost like they had endless depth, So that's why I picked them. But then you look at their division. The Browns and the Steelers are the ones that stand out. The Steelers, people just look at a year ago and there's automatically going to write out the Steelers. It doesn't go like that. You can't just base everything off last year. The Steelers definitely could be back. And we talked about the Browns. The Browns have a pretty complete roster. Still some young guys that could struggle a little bit just because they're young. Pretty complete roster. They should be good. And then you may say, well, the Bengals, there's no way they're going to finish below the Bengals. Most likely not. But the Bengals, they're a little sneaky. They're a little sneaky because, I was actually starting to kind of get hyped on the Bengals. That Jonah Williams injury kind of hurt me a little bit. Kind of brought me down on the hype a little bit because if you don't look over this roster, really the offense, they got a good big three there with AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, and Joe Mixon. That is legit. Legit. They got some tight ends. Offensive line was going to be good. I like Jonah Williams a lot. Unfortunate. And Andy Dalton can play during the regular season if he's healthy. So that offense could be a high-powered offense, believe it or not, if the offensive line can protect. And the defense, people were saying, you could argue the worst defense in football last year. And they do need some more help. But you look at the young talent last year that really stepped up. They're going to step up again. Guys like Jesse Bates, Hubbard, guys like that. And they got even more really good talent that I like. I know they're young. They could struggle, but the Bengals could be a surprise team. So there is a chance the Ravens can finish last. And you look at the Texans, another division that's I think any team can finish first, any team can finish last. If it wasn't for that streak, Texans went on against, I guess, I don't want to say weaker opponents, but not the best opponents. Then they could have struggled. But again, they did go on that streak. No matter who you play, it's very hard. And I'm a big Deshaun Watson fan. Offensive line, did it really improve? It's a question. Maybe a little bit because they're young guys stepping up. I don't know. It could struggle. The defense doesn't blow me away or anything. So the Texans could finish last. I think these three teams, I think there's a chance. Unlike the other teams, I don't think there's any chance. These three teams, I think there's a chance. I don't know how I want to end this video. I don't think the Bears finish last. I think they're too complete. Trubisky, I'm not a huge believer in him. I don't doubt his potential because he's still young. He's only started one full year. But I guess if he just completely, plays bad, which is a possibility, they could finish last. I just don't think with this team, with that defense, they could finish last. But I still think there is a chance. And I love this Ravens defense for the same reasons I talked about the Bears. I think it's a unique defense. I think it's more unique than the Bears. 3-4 teams don't have a lot of blitz packages. They bring the pressure from the outside with their pass rushers. They blitz, but the Ravens are unique in that way. Tony Jefferson doesn't get enough credit, and they like blitzing. They like bringing the house, and I like the way they do it. You almost know it's coming, and there's really nothing you can do. I don't think the Ravens finish last, but there's a chance. The Texans, I think they're, out of all these teams, unfortunately, I know Texans fans probably watching, I think there is a chance just because who's in the division. The Colts are a good team. The Titans, if healthy, is a good team. And the Jags just 2 years ago made it to the AFC Championship. Some think they should have went to the Super Bowl with Blake Bortles, now Nick Foles. So you could argue that here. And the Texans went on a tear last year. Like I said, people doubt them because they're not going to go on that streak again. Maybe they won't go on the streak again because they, who they played during that streak. But they went on the streak. People forget they actually went on the streak. Who else went on a streak, So they're good. They're capable. Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, love that duo. Offense line needs to get better. I love Jadeveon Clowney. Maybe Watt's not the same, but still good. Linebackers are solid. Nothing really blows me away besides, even Watts. I love Watson, always been a sport, but he doesn't really blow me away. DeAndre Hopkins is the only thing that blows me away on that team. So, and just looking at the division mainly, I think the Texans are the team out of any of these teams that realistically can finish last. Like I said, there's a chance because of the division for the Bears and the Ravens, but I just don't see it happening. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Again, we did do a video with the last place teams and their chances to win the Super or go to the Super Bowl, and I kind of talked about their chances to just having a successful season. So a little different format than this video, but it's basically the same thing. So I'll put a link in the top of the comments there, and we'll do why not? We'll do the third place teams if they can finish first. So these are pretty fun, pretty interesting. So click that subscribe button if you haven't quite yet. It'll help us get to our subscription goal there. It'd be much appreciated if you can click that. We got daily sports videos, and I can't wait for the NFL season. I know you guys can't wait either. We got full coverage, weekly predictions, score predictions, recaps, and more. Can't wait. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.